Throwing him under the bus.
Wow, that was their rationale.
All right, welcome to the Wyoming Water Development Commission meeting. Calling it to order. First item is recognition of members. Mr. Secretary.
Bettis, not here, or not present. I mean, Karen Bud Fallon, not present. David Evans,
Here.
Gerald Geis,
Here.
Kellen Lancaster,
Here.
Sheridan Little,
Here.
Jeanette Seekin,
Here.
Larry Suker,
Here.
Rodney Wagner.
Here.
Okay, we have
Quorum.
quorum.
Audience introductions. We'll start down here with Kellen.
Kellen Lancaster from Afton on the Wyoming Water Development Commission, District 4, Western Wyoming.
David Evans, Wyoming Water Development Commission, District 1, Southeast Wyoming.
Rod Wagner, Wyoming Water Development Commission, District 1.
Larry Suker, Commissioner, District 2.
Gerald Geis, District 3, Bighorn Basin in Fremont County.
Sheridan Little, Wyoming Water Development Commission, Water Division 2.
Clinton Glick, Wyoming Water Development Commission, Wind River.
Jeanette Seekin, Wyoming Water Development Commission, Division 3, Cody.
Larry Hicks, Senate District 11, that's Carbon, Sweetwater, and part of Albany County.
Daniel Solish, Attorney General's Office.
Katie Talbot, Water Development Office.
Larry Labondi, Director, Water Development Office.
Jody Farton, Water Development Office. Julie Gonzar, Project Manager here at the Water Development Office.
Brian Clerkin, Water Development Office.
Jody Pavlika, Water Development Office.
Rob Scroy, Land Resources Specialist, Teton Conservation District. Good morning.
Dawn Arnell, Little Snake River Conservation District.
Bob Davis, Carbon County Commissioner.
Peter Gill, Water Development Office.
Beth Calloway with the State Engineer's Office.
Jeff Geyer, Laramie County Conservation District.
Jim Cohorn, Laramie County Conservation District. Michael Henn, Sublette County Conservation District.
Next item is election of officers.
Everybody stand up at once.
So it's been mentioned that maybe Nick Bettis would move up from vice chair to chair, but I wondered if anybody had asked him before we throw him under the bus.
I've attempted to contact him. I may be on ignore. So.
Move to retain the officers that we already have.
I'll second that.
Term.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded that we retain the current officers. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Perhaps, Chairman, perhaps we could take this up again at our next meeting if that's legal. If that's
We elect officers again in a couple months.
I haven't seen a time frame in either the rules or the criteria.
So, Mr. Chairman, I move that we table this until our next meeting.
I'll second that.
Well, we actually have a motion on the floor, so we have to vote
That's
for that
true.
first.
Okay, that's right.
So,
Mr. Chairman, you can table the motion.
okay. Okay. All right. So, any discussion on the motion to table?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay. Next item is approval of minutes. We have three sets of minutes, the workshop, the meeting, and an executive session, which Katie should have handed out to everybody a little bit ago before the meeting started. So if you don't have a copy of that, let her know and she can get them handed out to everybody.
I move to accept the 3 minutes, all
Okay.
three.
Moved by Commissioner Evans, seconded by Commissioner Seacon to approve all the minutes. Any discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay. Next item is planning amendments. Harry?
Mr. Chairman, we have one amendment for the Powder Tongue Northeast River Basin Plan. It's update amendment 2, and Jody Pring is going to walk you through that.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Jody Pring, Water Development Office. This is Amendment 2 for the Powder Tongue Northeast River Basin Plan update. We're asking for an extension of time till the end of the year to complete the analysis of the water availability portion of this river basin plan. And once we have that information all put together, then we also need to take the report out to the public for public comment and any other things that we may have missed while we were going through the plan. So that's the request, and I would stand for any questions.
Questions for Jody or Harry on this? All right, no question. Do we need a motion on this then? Okay.
I'd move.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Geis, seconded by Commissioner Suker, that we approve the planning amendment for the Powder Tongue Northeast River Basin Plan. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thanks, Jody. Next item is planning closeout memos.
Mr. Chairman, under tab L in your notebook, you'll find 4 closeouts, and I'll let the project managers walk you through those. The first 2 are for Peter Gill. Come on up, Peter.
Mr. Chairman, Commission, good morning. My name is Peter Gill. I am here to close out the Bear River Data Model Pilot Study. This is sponsored by the Commission. The appropriation from the legislature was in 2016 for $120,000. Tri-Hydro Corporation was contracted to do the work at $118,000. Their final contract amount was $117,996. Contract savings was $3.36. So the Bear River Basin was used as a pilot study for the rest of the state to develop the GIS data within that basin, and also, and maybe more importantly, figure out how to organize and structure GIS data collected statewide. This work established a geographic information system standards for the office, and as a way to improve consistency and usability of data collected through all our level 1 projects. For those that don't know, GIS is basically digital mapping. It's like Google Maps would be an example of a GIS. So project findings, the work finds that significant investments are put into creating GIS data in the preparation of Water Development Office planning projects. The data is created for 3 basic reasons.
Try and turn it off.
The first one is to guide the development of a particular water project. The second one is to understand and document and demonstrate Wyoming's water needs. And the third one is to assist the sponsor in permitting requirements. Given these needs, the project found that our current data practices are inadequate. So one of the things coming out of this was a GIS data framework plan. The framework plan is fairly short. It's about 30 pages. The plan lays out long-term data needs, data gaps, tools available for improved decision support, and phased approach to agency implementation. I just want to take a second to say special thanks to the State Engineer's Office, Wyoming Game and Fish, DEQ, WRDS, Water Resource Data System, as well as project managers in the office who took their time to put together a GIS steering committee, multi-agency steering committee to put together these standards. They brought a lot of expertise and time to these standards, and it wouldn't have been possible without their collaboration. So one of the recommendations in the GIS framework plan is to bring consistency and clarity to our consultants and our sponsors with updated GIS standards for all areas of the state, to narrow down the development of data to what sponsor and agency business needs really are, and use these narrowed down or core data sets to manage as part of a statewide data set in order to make sharing more efficient and reduce redundancy and cost in our projects. We're talking level 1 projects. And the last recommendation is to improve training for staff and consultants community. The work resulted in a GIS framework plan, which I already talked about, a GIS standards technical memo for GIS analysts that are doing level 1 projects with us. We had staff and consultant training. A new GIS website is out there and available for the office. Mapping software tools were developed by Tri-Hydro, and we developed GIS data in the Bear River Basin that can be used in future level 1 projects as well as hydrologic modeling in the future. There was a public presentation in November of 2017. It was an online webinar. We had about 60 people as part of that webinar. I encourage you to take a look at the new website. It's out there, and the URL is on your closeout memo. And the office recommendation is to continue phased implementation of these GIS standards using existing office resources, to pursue the development of statewide data sets that can serve future level 1 projects of all types, provide ongoing training to the consultant community and staff in order to build consistency in formats, accuracy, and documentation. And finally, to work with Water Resource Data System, or WRDS, to improve usability and access to the information online.
Go ahead, Larry.
I do, Mr. Chairman. This report shows that it is for the Bear River Basin, but it also says that is for the areas of the complete state. What, am I reading that wrong?
Oh, Chairman, so the Bear River Basin was used as a pilot study. So we pulled together all our mapping data in Bear River Basin to figure out what kind of structure and the best way to organize data for all our projects in the future. So that would be statewide.
Don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Mr. Chair, just a couple comments. One, that small water project report map yesterday was a good example of, I don't know how sophisticated in the level of GIS sophistication it was, but it's a good example I was able to bring up on my phone and find out a lot of information about a lot of different small water projects. I think this agency should have, you know, a very sophisticated GIS capability. Seems to me this study is leading us to that, or has us arrive. And then I think we can get that data out to the different sponsors, depending on their level of sophistication. But I think it's going to be very valuable. You know, I've heard that GIS isn't that valuable in these meetings to some of our sponsors. I find that hard to believe. I suppose it depends on their level of sophistication, but I think the better we are at GIS data and getting it out to the sponsors, I just think it's going to be helpful. I'm thinking this study gets us there, but we should have a very good GIS capability within the agency and putting it out to the sponsor. So that's just a comment. I'm really glad to see the study, and I hope it's done everything that you hoped that it would.
Commissioner Guys.
Basically what this does is it gives us a plan for the whole state, and we do not have to reinvent the wheel every time we do a GIS or something, because we already got the format in place.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that's the hope, is that we can reduce the redundancy as we do future level 1 projects, because we already have a baseline across the state of the data sets, and we can therefore do our projects potentially faster and hopefully as accurate or more accurate than we did before.
Any other questions, Commissioner Lancaster?
So Peter, is the future to buy more or have more studies so that there are different levels? Or are we satisfactory?
Well, Mr. Chairman, so the idea is that not necessarily that we develop more, but more that whenever we do these level 1 studies, we always collect the data in a similar format, in a similar organizational structure, so that the next person or the next study that comes along can use that data and they don't have to redo it each time.
Any other questions, comments? We need a motion on this to.
I would move.
Second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Geis, seconded by Commissioner Sucre, that we accept the proposed motion. Correct?
Correct.
Yep. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay. Peter, next one.
The second one is the Owl Creek watershed study that I'd like to close out. It's a level 1 study. Again, approved for funding by the legislature in 2016, appropriation of $375,000. The consultant hired for the job was Low M. Walsh Engineering and Environmental Services, LLC. The original contract amount was $365,980. Final contract amount was $365,979.99 for a contract savings amount of 1 penny. Project description. 2015, the Hot Springs Conservation District requested funding for the completion of a watershed management plan in the Owl Creek watershed. The study area drains the north flank of the Owl Creek Mountains and the east flank of the Absaroka Range in Hot Springs County. This comprehensive watershed inventory identified issues related to water resources and provided a plan that addresses those issues with a set of landowner-directed projects. Project findings: that there's over 56 surface water diversions in the watershed, irrigating approximately 25,000 acres. Flood irrigation is the dominant method of irrigation, and grass and alfalfa make up over 80% of the irrigated lands. Landowners in the middle and upper portions of the watershed that are dependent on Owl Creek and the tributaries can run out of water as early as June. The hydrology of the system is characterized by flashy high or inadequate low flows, and existing water storage is quite limited in the watershed. 37 landowner interviews were conducted during the course of the study. An investigation of reservoirs permitted for irrigation shows that 43 of the 75 reservoirs do not function. And remote analysis of stockwater ponds indicate that 36 of 86 only remain functional. plan brought together water users to identify future and current project needs. With assistance from the Hot Springs Conservation District and the NRCS, Lone Walsh provided designs for 87 projects that are eligible for small water program funding, and 3 larger projects that were identified on the Dempsey Canal, Cyclone Ditch, as well as some significant erosion head cuts on BLM lands. Future projects within the study area total about $4.5 million. Overall, general recommendations coming from the plan include elimination of excessively long ditches and laterals that serve very limited acreage, replacement of failing or non-existent measuring devices so water can be distributed consistently and storage can be planned accurately. Based on some modeling results, there was found that there is water available on wet and average years that could be taken advantage of with some smaller scaled water storage facilities. There was a report presentation, a final report presentation at the Bighorn Federal Bank in Thermopolis on October 24th, 2017. And the office recommendation is that based on this study, the office recommends supporting the funding of small water program projects and conventional projects within the watershed on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Geis, seconded by Commissioner Wagner, that we accept the proposed motion for the Owl Creek Watershed Study Level 1 project closeout. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chair, another comment. The addition of the construction reports and the closeout reports have made a real difference to me to really having things stick in my brain as to what projects we're doing. And so I really appreciate these reports.
Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right. Thanks, Peter.
Chairman, I have one
Commissioner
question. Just not for small water, but is there a way to fix that anchor dam?
You gotta talk into your mic a little more. I can't hear you.
Is there a possible way to look at fixing anchor dam?
And so through this study, they did not look at ways to fix the anchor dam issue. It's been done a number of times in the past through this office, but also through the Bureau of Rec. So we didn't look at that. And actually the community was not interested in pursuing that because it was brought up.
I was just asking because nowadays there's different liners they could use for the bottom. That's all.
Chairman, just to comment, the Bureau of Reclamation has spent years and millions of dollars trying to repair the dam. And it's not the dam itself, it's the geology underneath the dam that creates the sinkholes and allows water to drain out of the reservoir. And the Bureau has basically, the mitigation efforts that they've put in place allow for storage about half the water or capacity of that reservoir. The Bureau has basically said that's all we do. But truly millions of dollars to try to resolve the geology underneath that basin. So it's just a reservoir dam that was built at the wrong location, unfortunately.
That hole's about 8,000 to 10,000 acre feet, and you go above that and it just falls out of sight. Beautiful dam.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, thanks.
Chairman, the next two projects then are closing out our weather mod siting and design studies for two ranges. And Judy Gonzar is the project manager on both of those.
Good morning. Passing out just a map for reference for you. Thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, the first memo here to close out is the weather modification Bighorn Range siting and design study. This was a level 3 project, sponsor State of Wyoming or the Water Development Office. The $1,447,500 appropriation was awarded in 2015 with a reversion date of 2020. And just a note here, this was a large appropriation that was allocated towards 3 different weather modification projects. This one, the Bighorn Range, the Laramie Range, which was closed out in June of 2017, and the Medicine Bow and Sierra Madre mountain ranges. That will be my second one. The consultant for this particular project was UCAR or NCAR out of Boulder. It was executed June 12, 2015. The original contract amount was $739,878. And there's a note here that indicates that this contract amount was jointly allocated towards 2 weather modification projects, the 2 that I'm going to close out today. And that was mainly because the consultant was the same company, and the allocation was blended together for cost savings. So you will see that the final contract amount on your documentation says to be determined. I actually just got the 2 final bills just a couple of days ago. So I have the final contract amount here, $649,844.71. Contract savings of $90,033.29. Expiration date, the end of this month. So project description, the overall large appropriation, the purpose of this was to jumpstart weather modification operations in the state of Wyoming. The purpose of this study was to assess an area not previously considered for seeding clouds and weather modification, and to complete the preparatory work that's been necessary to lay a foundation for operational programs. So I'm going to paraphrase a lot of what's written out here. So some fundamental parameters studied in order to implement the operational program was exploring the frequency of weather conditions suitable for weather modification, accessible lands, potential benefits, and estimated costs. A large climatological study for the project area was conducted to estimate how frequently atmospheric conditions would be suitable for silver iodide seeding, and they looked at an airborne program versus a ground-based program. The analysis determined that an airborne seeding program provided greater advantages and much more opportunity to seed over a ground-based type program. The complexity of the terrain and excessive steep nature of the Bighorns was one of the main reasons for going with an airborne design. Ground-based generators would not be as successful in transporting seeding agent up over the mountains due to the steepness of the barrier and atmospheric instability not being quite enough. So a standalone aircraft program would cost approximately $353,000. Bless you. Average stream flow estimates increase for airborne seeding based on the 5 to 15% increase in runoff assumption from the previous research done by the pilot study that was completed in 2014. It was determined that if an aircraft had a 50% area coverage of seeding effects, then About 4,000 to 14,000 acre feet of runoff would result, costing approximately $25 to $75 per acre foot. And in fact, simulations in the model showed that an aircraft would often have impact areas greater than 50% coverage, which would result in an even lower cost per acre foot. The implementation of an aircraft program removes the following concerns: deployment of and access of ground-based seeding equipment, the logistics, times, and costs associated with ground-based equipment, and the maintenance would be very expensive. Certain weather parameters in place for ground-based generators just require more limitations as opposed to an aircraft program. And a few final things here. If another cloud seeding program existed in the vicinity, then collaboration of the projects could result in a cost savings. For example, regarding cost of forecasting operations and potential sharing of resources. Costs could also be saved with the realization of consecutive operational seasons with the ability to save on materials due to carry over into following years. So moving forward here, the reports are located on the website, the final report and the summary. The recommendation is that the Wyoming Water Development Office finds that this project represents the public interest and that the recommendations from the study should feed into a larger discussion of future operational programs around the state. And at this time, the interest is to not pursue an operational weather modification program in the Bighorn Mountains at this time.
Questions?
Mr. Chair, and why is it proposed not to pursue further?
Question, Mr. Chairman, the decision to not pursue at this time is just from a lack of strong interest from the people in that part of the state. There is an interest to pursue sometime in the future, but our focus is going to be asking to pursue in another area of the state.
Those people have a lack of interest because, what did they express?
So at the public meetings, Mr. Chairman, at the public meetings, there was just not a whole lot of support either way. There was not a whole lot of comment, verbal or written comment.
Well, we're going to continue with what we already started a few years ago, the old ones. We have them back up, don't we, running? Or do we?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure if I understand what your question is.
The pilot projects we did the last 6, 8, 10 years.
So, Mr. Chairman, the Wind River program continues to operating this winter. The Medicine Bow Sierra Madre program, which was the main part of the pilot program, those generators have been removed. So it is not currently operational, but the next closeout then will bring you a recommendation that we should now advance an aerial programming into the next season or next winter.
Thank you.
Cheaper in the long run.
And the permitting is much simpler with regards to the Forest Service.
Any other questions, comments?
So move.
Move the weather modification.
Second it then, Heath. Larry got the motion. You want to second it?
Yeah, I can say.
Okay. Moved by Commissioner Suker, seconded by Commissioner Geis, that we accept the proposed motion on the Bighorn Mountain weather mod study. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right. Next one, Julie.
The next closeout memo is the weather modification Medicine Bow Sierra Madre Ranges final design and permitting study. Again, this is a level 3 project, sponsor State of Wyoming Water Development Office. Again, this is the same, or coming from the same appropriation that we just talked about in the Bighorn Range from the 2015 session with a reversion date of 2020. And again, this allocation, or this appropriation, was allocated toward 3 weather modification projects in total. The consultant again was UCAR NCAR out of Boulder, Colorado. This project was executed June 12, 2015. The original contract amount, $739,878. And again, that original contract amount was allocated towards the 2 projects that I'm presenting this morning. Again, here for the final contract amount with the 2 bills that just came in earlier this week, the final contract amount is $649,844.71 with a total contract savings of $90,033.29. Expiration date, the last day of this month. So again, the purpose of this study was to develop a final operation project design, including the method of delivery, whether or not it would be ground-based or an airborne type program, citing and ownership of generators, operational and institutional constraints, and a cost-benefit analysis. Permitting activities were also looked at as part of this project. A climatology and cloud seeding model evaluation of the project was conducted based on operational standards as compared to research standards, which was completed in the pilot study. The purpose of this was to estimate how frequently atmospheric conditions were suitable for silver iodide seeding, and again, whether an airborne or ground-based program would be appropriate. That analysis determined that an airborne program was the most cost-effective type of design due to overall program costs, fewer seeding restrictions, less concern about atmospheric stability and wind direction. An airborne program would not require any permitting fees. This same overall analysis determined that a ground-based program would be more expensive, less cost-effective, and would include more restrictions and more permitting requirements. Cost estimates were completed for both designs, ground-based or airborne, and for one or both of the mountain ranges. So a standalone aircraft program targeting both mountain ranges would cost approximately $362,000. An average stream flow increase based on the expected increase from the pilot study was about 16,000 to 49,000 acres feet of runoff based on an expected impact coverage area of 50 to 70% coverage. That would result in an approximate cost per acre foot of $7 per acre foot to $22 per acre foot. And that data was estimated through the airborne model simulations that were completed by NCAR. A well-designed airborne program would run for about 4 to 6 months, December through April. Let's see here. I may be repeating myself when I say this next one. The implementation of an aircraft program removes the following concerns. It removes the concern for deployment of and access of ground-based seeding equipment, high costs associated with ground-based generators and the maintenance that comes with that. There are limitations to a ground-based program like stability and wind, and generators at lower elevations would help, but that also means that you would need a little bit more atmospheric lift to be able to get the seeding agent up and over the mountain barrier. Costs could be saved with more consecutive operational seasons. And like I had said, for the previous project, materials could be saved from carryover into following years. Also, sharing an aircraft between adjacent programs would also help to save costs. Okay, so the permitting aspect of this project, a special use permit for the potential placement of ground generators onto the Medicine Bow National Forest land, was submitted in February 2016. This initial application did not meet the minimum requirements, so it was amended, and a second application was submitted the same year. The second application was approved, and we were notified that the National Forest personnel would be in touch with us. No communication for over 1 year. And during that time, we just continued to focus on moving forward with aircraft. These reports are online for you to look at if you're interested. And the recommendation moving forward is that the Wyoming Water Development Office recommends submitting a formal letter of withdrawal regarding the special use permit application pending at the Medicine Bow National Forest Office. And also, based on public interest and the findings of this study, the recommendation is to use the remaining appropriated but unobligated funds that are estimated to be approximately $438,000 to move forward with an operational aircraft weather modification program for this winter of 2018-19 in the Medicine Bow Sierra Madre mountain ranges. This recommendation also includes the possibility of expanding the program during this coming winter across additional mountain ranges, as long as it does not conflict with the priority of seeding the Medicine Bow Sierra Madre Mountains. Additional expansion opportunities could potentially include the Laramie Range, based on aircraft in Cheyenne, and potential cooperation with Colorado partners to cost share seeding mountains just south of the state line within the North Platte River Basin. Extending this program beyond this winter is also recommended, but would require additional funding.
Questions? Comments? Motions?
I'll move. We accept the proposal.
Moved by Commissioner Suker, seconded by Commissioner Wagner, that we accept the proposed motion for the Medicine Bow Sierra Madre Mountains final design and permitting study. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item is the UW Water Research Program MOU.
Mr. Chairman, under tab M, you will find this MOU. The funding for this project was in the 2018 planning bill, which has now been passed by the legislature and signed by the governor. If you look at the MOU, you will find at the bottom of that page the two projects that will be funded as part of this MOU, the research projects. So treatment of produced water and rare earth element resource cost offset in Wyoming reservoirs, and then recycling co-produced water in the energy industry for economic development. The amount of this MOU is $285,150. That is the water development contribution towards the two research projects. And this is a cost share project. The MOU does not identify the University of Wyoming cost share. And I don't have those numbers with me, but recall that there is a cost share that's provided by the university. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I would recommend approval of the MOU so that the funds are in place and then the university can move forward and get these research projects started.
Moved.
Moved by Commissioner Evans, seconded by Commissioner Seekin, that we approve the MOU with the University of Wyoming. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. The next item would be the Small Water Project Program.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to turn this over to Jody Pavlika, who manages our Small Water Project Program. And if you go to tab MC, you will see ultimately some spreadsheets and write-ups on each of the projects. We have a number of projects to be considered.
Jody starts, I'm going to declare a conflict on the Little Ranch Irrigation Drainage Rehabilitation Project. I don't think I need to explain why. So when we get to that, I'll have to turn it over to Clint to run the meeting for that portion. So go ahead, Jody.
Let's begin by kind of walking through a little bit of what's in the packet here. The first page, you will see a summary spreadsheet. I should say there's 3 pages of that summary spreadsheet, one for account 1, one for account 2. We have the first column there is the primary project name. You can see there's a row to designate where one district ends and the other district begins. There's the second column talks about the watershed study that may or may not be included within. Third column is the project priority. You may look down the list there and see ones that have a shovel in the far left column and then have a one priority and then another priority in parentheses. Those projects were designated shovel ready. So the one is to designate that it can be considered for priority 1 status. The priority number in parentheses is what it would have been if it had not been receiving that designation. The next column is the total project cost. Column after that is the proposed grant. Then you have the project type. And then we grouped those projects to show you the number of projects that is proposed by that sponsor. So if you'll turn to the next page, you can see that the summarized at the bottom, we have the amount available in account 1. So that is as of 2/20/2018. So as soon as I got done paying all the bills at the end of last year and closed out everything and everything was withdrawn or expired or whatever it is, that's what was left in account 1. And then below that, you'll see the 2018 construction bill request for this year, and then new requests, and finally the amount remaining. So there is it's the same for account 2 as well. And we'll come back to these. So I don't want you to feel like we're skipping over anything right now. We'll be sure to come back to these in a minute. The only thing that's different on the account 2 summary page is there's 3 projects there that have some cells highlighted in blue. You'll notice that those projects have a total project cost that is currently over our $135,000 cap. And I know we talked about that a little bit yesterday, and we'll come back to that as well as we go through the projects. So the next page in your packet is the project agreement template. The items that are highlighted in yellow are the items that are specifically customized for the individual district and the individual project. There's a few pages of that. Following the agreement template is the statewide map to show you the dispersion of projects and where those projects are located. And then after the statewide map, we'll have each section for the individual district. So we'll have a blow up map of the individual location for the district's projects. And then following that, we'll have the recommendations. So the first sponsor that, if you guys are ready to dive in, if you have any questions about any of that stuff, I'll be happy to answer it. The first series of projects that we're going to talk about today is for the city of Laramie. And before we get started, let me go through the format of the recommendation a little bit so that you can kind of see they're all going to look the same. The project name and the program, whether it be new development or rehab, is at the top. The project type then is below that. The project sponsor, the project priority, the director's recommendation, followed by the estimated total project cost and requested grant. Then section 1 there is a description of the project, which is largely based on what was included in the application. And then section 2, I'd like to bring some of this to your attention. This is the sponsor defined public benefits section. And you'll notice that is italicized and quoted. That's just to make sure that you guys know that we didn't touch that. To the extent possible, I was able to copy and paste that digitally straight out of their application. I did. If they didn't have a digital version of that, then I typed it in just exactly as it was in the application. So you know, those are the sponsor's own words as far as their understanding of the benefits of these projects. And then staff 3 is the, or item 3 is the staff evaluation. So with that, the first project is Goforth Reservoir for the city of Laramie. The purpose of this project is to restore the functionality of Goforth Reservoir on the city's Monolith Ranch property. They are requesting $76,794 as a total project cost. The requested grant is $35,000. So unless I hear anything from you, we got a number of these. I'll just keep rolling through them pretty fast, but don't hesitate to interrupt me if you have specific questions. Second project is the Monolith Irrigation Lateral Rehabilitation Project. This project was designated as shovel ready. The total project cost is $79,000 with a requested grant of $35,000. The city of Laramie and 2 private irrigators use a lateral ditch off the Pioneer Canal to irrigate lands southwest of Laramie. The project includes replacing the original undersized diversion, along with making significant water conveyance improvements to eliminate flow restrictions, as well as prevent ditch loss by converting a significant amount of this open ditch into pipe. So it would be at this point where I would let you know that the sponsor was here if you have any questions, but I did receive a note a few minutes ago that apparently there was a pretty big wreck on Happy Jack and the Laramie representative was behind that and unable to get past it. So unfortunately, the city of Laramie very much would like to be here, but we're unable to make it because of the roads. So if you have any questions about Laramie's project, I will certainly do my best. The next group here is Laramie County Conservation District. The first project for them is the High Point Stockwater Project. This is a well project. The estimated total project cost is $29,420 with a requested grant of $14,710. Purpose of this project is to drill a 400-foot well, install 1,300 feet of pipeline, and 2 stock tanks. And the stock tanks will be in separate pastures. Next project for Laramie County is the Keenan Stockwater Project. The total project cost is $31,675. The requested grant is $15,837.50. The purpose of this project is to construct a new stock watering system. It will include a new well, a solar system, a 20-foot, and a 20-foot 4,500 gallon tank with associated plumbing. So the next project for Laramie County is a McWilliams Stockwater Project. The project type is Solar Platform Project. It is out of the new development account. Estimated project cost is $38,742 with a requested grant of $19,371. Purpose of this project is to convert 2 existing and permitted wells into solar systems. One of the wells will have a 20-foot bottomless tank installed adjacent to the well. The second well will have 2,640 feet of pipe installed to a new 20-foot bottomless stock tank in addition to the solar conversion. Next project is the Mesa Mountain Water Pipeline. You may have noticed that there was one project that had an asterisk next to it in our summary spreadsheet. I believe that was this project. This is a pipeline project. Pipeline projects normally wouldn't be classified as source water development, but because they are putting a new surface water supply to use, that makes it source water development, even though it is a pipeline project. So I just wanted to alleviate any confusion as to the way this one was classified. So the total project cost is $125,000. The requested grant is $35,000. The purpose of this project is to develop a new water pipeline diverting from South Lodgepole Creek and conveying the water to the top of Mesa Mountain with up to 10 new stock tank placements. The water will be diverted from an infiltration gallery adjacent to the South Lodgepole Creek with an electric submersible pump and pipe roughly 2.5 miles to 5 separate stock tanks across a 2,000-acre pasture. So the next project for Laramie County is the North and Middle 3-4 spring rehabilitations. The total project cost is $20,000 with a requested grant of $10,000. Purpose of this project is to rehabilitate 2 existing spring developments and pipe the water down approximately 500 feet to their respective rubber tire stock tanks. The next project for Laramie County is RNK Farm Stockwater Pipeline. The total project cost is $71,610 with a requested grant of $35,000. The purpose of this project is to install 7,800 feet of pipeline and 3 30-foot bottomless stock watering facilities from an existing well. No questions on that. The next project is the Soapstone Stockwell conversion. The total project cost is $23,892 with a requested grant of $11,946. The purpose of this project is to convert the, probably pronounce this wrong, Flattery windmill well to a solar system. The project will also provide an increase in water storage with the installation of 2 12-foot diameter tire tanks in this dry portion of the Soapstone Ranch. So that's the last one for Laramie County, and they are here today if you have any questions.
Questions? Go ahead, Jody.
Next is the Little Snake River Conservation District. So there are several projects this year that are coming to you through the Little Snake River Conservation District. You'll notice this is one of them that is in Sweetwater County. I know they are planning to talk to you about that as soon as we're done with their grouping of projects, but this is one of them and I wanted to draw your attention to it. 6900 well. The estimated total project cost is $70,000 with the requested grant of $35,000. The purpose of this project is to drill and equip a well with a solar array to provide water year-round for both wildlife and livestock in the North Laclede grazing allotment. The next project is the Baggs Livestock Company irrigation pipeline. The estimated total project cost is $56,000. The requested grant is $28,000. Purpose of this project is to install a drop structure, 3,600 feet of plastic irrigation pipe, and 8 risers with valves from an existing reservoir. You may notice below that this is working in conjunction with NRCS, and NRCS will be funding the gated pipe. Water Development will not be funding any of those on-farm gated pipe improvements. The next project is Bar X Sheep Company Spring Development and Stock Pipeline. This one is located in Fremont County. The total project cost is $45,000. The requested grant is $22,500. The purpose of this project is to develop a spring, 11,000 feet of buried 1.5-inch pipe, and 2 tire tanks. A solar system will also be added to provide water to the tanks. The next project is the Brush Rim No. 1 water well. This one is another one that's located in Sweetwater County. The total project cost is $70,000 with a requested grant of $35,000. The purpose of this project is to drill a well, install 2 troughs, plumbing equipment, a solar array, a pump, and enough fence to protect the installed equipment. The next project in our list is Brush Rim No. 2 water well. This one is also located in Sweetwater County. Total project cost of $70,000 with a requested grant of $35,000. The purpose of this project is to drill a well, install a pump, 2 troughs, plumbing equipment, a solar array, and enough fence to protect the installed infrastructure. And that one was in Sweetwater County as well. The next project on our list is the CCC Coal Gulch Stock Pond. The total project cost is $30,000 and the requested grant is $15,000. The purpose of this project is to construct a 20-foot high stock pond embankment with compacted earth fill. Next project on the list is the DC State Land Stock Reservoir. The estimated total project cost is $22,750. The requested grant is $11,375. The purpose of this project is to construct a 20-foot high stock pond embankment with compacted earth fill. Because of the coarse soil at the site, the pond will also be bentonite sealed. Project on our list is the Dead Cedar Draw Pond. And that is a estimated total project cost of $27,500 with a requested grant of $13,750. The purpose of this project is to construct a stock pond with a 20-foot embankment. And please jump in here if I'm going too fast. If you have questions, just let me know. Okay, the next project on the list is Delaney Rim No. 1 Water Well. This is another project that is located in Sweetwater County. There's an estimated total project cost of $70,000 with a requested grant of $35,000. The purpose of this project is to drill a well, install one trough, plumbing equipment, solar array, pump, and enough fence to protect the infrastructure that has been installed. And the next project on our list is Delaney Rim Stockwater Pipeline. This one is also located in Sweetwater County. The purpose of this, excuse me, I'm skipping the part. Total project cost is $81,000 with a requested grant of $35,000. The purpose of this project is to construct 7.92 miles of new HDPE buried stockwater pipeline from an existing water well. Additionally, a solar booster will be installed, a pump station, and additional storage tanks and troughs. And that one's in Sweetwater County as well, in case I forgot to mention that. The next project on our list is Dexter Peak Extension Pipeline. The estimated total project cost is $70,000 with the requested grant of $35,000. The purpose of this project is to install 5,000 feet of buried 2-inch HDPE pipe along with 5 tire tanks and frost-free hydrants. The next project on our list is the Dottie Mountain Allotment Stock Pond. This is a shovel-ready project. The estimated total project cost is $20,474 with a requested grant of $10,237. The purpose of this project is to construct a 19-foot high dam consisting of 2,175 cubic yards of earth fill. Next project, Duck Well number 22. This estimated total project cost is $70,000 with a requested grant of $35,000. The purpose of this project is to drill a new well. There'll be 3 separate pipelines with tire tanks will be developed in order to improve watering opportunity for livestock and wildlife within the Dottie Mountain allotment. The next project is the Dump Pasture Well for Montgomery Livestock. The estimated total project cost is $70,000 with a requested grant of $35,000. Purpose of this project is to drill a well, install 2 troughs, plumbing equipment, a solar array, a pump, and enough fence to protect the installed infrastructure. The next project on our list is the High Savory Dam Tailwater Restoration Project. This project, you will notice, has an estimated project cost of $291,500. So this project total exceeds Water Development Program design criteria cap at the moment. The purpose of the project is to stabilize Savory Creek downstream of High Savory Dam, where excessive lateral migration of the stream channel is occurring. The project will consist of using natural channel design criteria and the use of rock barbs and veins, tow wood, channel shaping, and realignment to stabilize Savory Creek. Did you want to go through that now, or?
Well, Mr. Chairman, this is one of the projects that exceeds our $135,000 statutory limit for small water projects. That will change on July 1st. And so you've got a couple of options. You could, our recommendation is that it should be funded, but you can't fund it today. So you could reconsider this after July 1st, or I think another appropriate action would be to authorize the chairman to execute those agreements upon removal of the $135,000 cap, which would be after July 1. So I think either of those options are available to you. More projects, so I think we cover all of those, and then when you're wrapping up with final motions, just be cognizant that those three cannot be approved today.
We should set those out separate and then handle the other bunch of them and then vote on those three separate so it's spelled out so nobody had to get a conflict on it.
Chairman, I
Okay, go ahead, Jody.
Next project on the list is the Hog Eye Bird Gulch Pasture Well. The estimated total project cost is $70,000 with a requested grant of $35,000. The purpose of this project is to drill a well, install a pump, plumbing equipment, solar array, 2 troughs, and enough fence to protect the installed infrastructure. Moving on, the next project is the Hog Eye Irrigation Pipeline with an estimated total project cost of $30,000, requested grant of $15,000. The purpose of this project is to install a steel water control structure, 700 feet of plastic irrigation pipe from an existing irrigation ditch. The next project is the Little Snake Oxbow 4900 project. The estimated total project cost is $105,000 with a requested grant of $35,000. The purpose of this project is to realign the Little Snake River. As a part of the realignment, a large oxbow will be cut off, and rather than abandoning the oxbow, a restricted riprap inlet and outlet channel approximately 30 feet wide will be left hydrologically connected to the Little Snake River, creating a 4.5-acre oxbow wetland. The next project is very similar. It is the Little Snake River Oxbow 6600 project with an estimated total project cost of $95,596 with a requested grant of $35,000. The purpose of this project is also to realign Little Snake River. A restricted riprap inlet and outlet channel approximately 30 feet will be left hydrologically connected to the Little Snake River, creating a 10.6-acre oxbow wetland. The next project in the list is the third one of these. There are 3, I believe. The Little Snake River Oxbow 7100 project. It has an estimated total project cost of $133,573 with a requested grant of $35,000. Once again, the purpose of this project is to realign the Little Snake River. Rather than abandon the oxbow, a restricted riprap inlet and outlet channel approximately 30 feet wide will be left hydrologically connected to the Little Snake River, creating a 5-acre oxbow wetland. And the next project on our list is McKee State Stock Pond. The estimated total project cost is $31,750 with the requested grant of $15,875. Purpose of this project is to construct a 20-foot high stock pond embankment with compacted earth fill. The next project on our list is the Mexican Grave Allotment Well Equipping Project. The estimated total project cost is $20,000 with a requested grant of $10,000. The purpose of this project is to equip an existing well with a solar array, storage tank, and trough. The next project on our list is the Muddy Creek Duck Pond No. 2 spillway replacement and dike repair. The estimated total project cost is $102,000 with a requested grant of $35,000. Muddy Creek Duck Pond No. 2 was constructed in 1995. When it was originally constructed, water was conveyed to the impoundment via the Muddy Creek Duck Pond ditch. Since the high water year of 2011, Muddy Creek has captured the pond, and the entire flow of the creek are now routed through the pond. This project would construct a new principal spillway with the ability to bypass normal high flows of 300 CFS and also regulate water levels in the pond to reduce damage and potential failure of the dike. The next project is very similar. It's the Muddy Creek Duck Pond number 3 spillway replacement project. The estimated total project cost was $85,000 with a requested grant of $35,000. Muddy Creek Duck Pond number 3 was constructed in 1995. When originally constructed, water was conveyed to the impoundment via the Muddy Creek Duck Pond ditch. And also, since the high water year of 2011, Muddy Creek has captured the pond, and the entire flow of the creek are now routed through the pond. So this project would construct a new principal spillway with the ability to bypass normal high flows of 300 CFS and regulate water levels in the pond to reduce damage and potential failure. The next project is the Muddy Mountain Deep Creek Pasture Stock Ponds project. It has an estimated total project cost of $34,800 with a requested grant of $17,400. Purpose of this project is to construct 2 20-foot high stock pond embankments with compacted earth fill and PVC outlet pipes for principal spillways. Next on our list is the Myers Ranch Stockwater Ponds. Estimated total project cost of $40,000. The requested grant of $20,000. Purpose of this project is to construct 2 new stock ponds to help improve the owner's grazing rotation. Next on our list is PW Spring Development and Stock Pipeline Project. The estimated total project cost is $15,000 with a requested grant of $7,500. Purpose of this project is to develop a spring, install 300 feet of HDPE pipe, 1 tire tank, and enough fence to protect the installed infrastructure. And moving on, the next project is the Red Creek Stock Reservoir. The estimated total project cost is $35,000 with a requested grant of $17,500. The purpose of this project is to construct a 20-foot high stock pond embankment with compacted earth fill and a 15-inch PVC principal spillway. Next on our list is Red Desert number 1 water well. This is one of the projects that's in Sweetwater County.
Mr. Chair, I've got to step out for a 10 o'clock phone call that I hope is brief, but I wanted to bring up a subject that I just wanted to make sure was addressed before I had to step out. And on these projects, I don't know what the jurisdiction is of the Little Snake River Conservation District, but I've noticed at least on one of them, it's a Fremont County project. And I don't know if there's others that, so if you could explain to me, I'm assuming that's outside the Conservation District boundaries. And if you can explain to me how it works that the sponsor of a project would be sponsoring something outside their boundaries. I thought I'd ask that before I had to step out.
Thank you. That is a very good question. And we can certainly let the sponsor address this as well. But I have documentation in the project file that was submitted that each of the conservation districts whose projects these are within the jurisdiction of, so the Sweetwater County Conservation District and the Fremont County Conservation District, I have in writing from them, whether it be board meeting minutes or something like that, where they have discussed the project and they are in support of it. So they have provided documentation to us, and it is my understanding that they also have working agreements, contracts between the other districts. And I know Little Snake's here, and they could probably do a better job of addressing this than I could.
If they're in support of it, what, like up in Fremont County, why wouldn't they just sponsor it directly?
Not all of the districts have the same level of staff. Or funding. So it is easier for some districts than other, but that's probably a better question for Little Snake to answer.
I'll give you another question before we start on. Is this new, something new we're seeing where the sponsor, the project is outside the jurisdiction of the sponsor, or we've seen this before?
Happened a couple of other times before, not to the same level I think that we're seeing it this year, but in the cases where we've seen it in the past, and I know it was over on the western side of the state, it happens sometimes when you have a landowner who has property that crosses jurisdictional boundaries, and he's more familiar working with District A than he is working with District B, so he just goes down to the guy he knows the best, and that is why it's happened in the past. That's not necessarily the case this year, I realize, but that is one explanation. And like I said, I always make sure that they have agreements with those districts and that they have written support of the projects from the other entities. But with that, we can.
Well, I get that. My wife's family has ag property in Goshen County, and they deal with the Platte County authorities. I've not ever quite figured that out, but I get it. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the sponsor come up and give their perspective as well.
So Jody hit the nail on the head.
So Jody hit the nail on the head, and she got it. We have landowners who have base operations in the Little Snake River Conservation District who also own other operations outside our district. So they do come to us, and we're happy to service that area as well.
Thank you.
A lot of this, where we're talking, where this lays is south of Jeffrey City up there, where Fremont County and Carbon and all that area where we're talking about these projects are at.
I didn't catch your question. Were you asking that's where it was at, where they're at?
Well, it's most of these lay about 20, 30 miles south of Jeffrey City. And Fremont County line jogs through there, and so is Carbon County. So these drainages are running in both counties.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, is that the same for the Sweetwater?
Yeah, so most of those projects are just directly north of our district boundaries. So yeah, their base operations are right there, right in our district, and then yeah, they have land or operations outside.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you for the explanation.
Okay, so that was Red Desert #1 water well, as long as I don't lose my place here. So that moves us to Wash Pond 1A with the estimated total project cost of $86,240 with a requested grant of $35,000. Purpose of this project is to construct a dike 3,200 feet long and 6 feet high using 20,080 cubic yards of excavated earth fill. Boy, that was a mouthful for some reason. Next project in the list, number 7, 2018 project. This is a shovel-ready project with an estimated total project cost of $107,235 project. So this name may be familiar to some of you who were here last year. It was part of a combined project with a large stockwater pit in a 2017 contract that we went through. The stock pit has been completed. However, due to changes in the project during the NEPA analysis, the Red Wash Pond #7 was not included in the project during last year's construction. The project was subsequently closed and the remaining funds reverted. The Little Snake River Conservation District is reapplying for the wetland this year as shovel ready. The project will construct a 4,420 foot long earth dike containing 36,995 cubic yards of excavated and compacted earth fill. The pond will impound 55.14 acre feet of water with a surface area of 20.04 acres. So the next project on our list is the South Fork Cottonwood Creek Stock Reservoir with an estimated total project cost of $35,750. The requested grant is $17,875. The purpose of this project is to construct a 25-foot high stock pond embankment with compacted earth fill. The next
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
If I can interrupt again, I keep watching the clock. Couple things I wanted to comment on. I'm a little confused on. I appreciate the sponsor-defined public benefit description. That's very helpful. I'm not going to be too hard on finding public benefit. I don't know what the average citizen thinks or the courts, but this is very helpful to me. I presume some of these projects are also within a watershed study. So I would think that would be maybe added to that in the future. I would think the sponsor, if they added to it, that it's also been identified in a watershed study as a project, that just is kind of like icing on the cake for defining the public benefit. but I appreciate otherwise the description. So I just wanted to mention that I think if it is part of a watershed study, that should be listed in there too.
And thank you very much. We can certainly add that to the recommendation form. It is included in the summary spreadsheet at the front part of the packet, whether that's in a watershed study or not, but it's a good suggestion. We should put it in here as well. Okay, so that was South Fork Cottonwood Reservoir. The next project is the Sand Hills Well with an estimated total project cost of $70,000 and a requested grant of $35,000. The purpose of this project is to drill a well, construct 1/8 of a mile of pipe, and install a pump, plumbing equipment, solar array, 2 troughs, and enough fence to protect the installed infrastructure. The next project is the South Delaney Rim Stockwater Pipeline. This was one of the ones in Sweetwater County. The estimated total project cost is $81,000 with a requested grant of $35,000. Purpose of this project is to construct 6.6 miles of new 2-inch HDPE buried stockwater pipeline from an existing water well. The next project on our list is the TC Pond Irrigation Return Flows Project. Estimated total project cost of $20,000 with a requested grant of $10,000. The purpose of this project is to construct a dam across the geologic oxbow of the Little Snake River adjacent to the current river channel. The next project in our list is the Tipton Allotment Main Stockwater Pipeline. This is one of the ones that is in Sweetwater County. The total project cost is estimated to be $91,000 with a requested grant of $35,000. Purpose of this project is to install 7.8 miles of new 2-inch HDPE buried stockwater pipeline from an existing water well. A solar booster pump station will also be installed to tie into the existing pipeline system to provide additional water to areas where current wells do not provide sufficient water to meet the existing demand. The next project is the Wild Cow Allotment Water Well. The estimated total project cost is $70,000 with a requested grant of $35,000. Purpose of this project is to drill a well, install a solar array, a pump, plumbing equipment, 1 trough, and enough fence to protect the installed infrastructure. And the last project in this grouping of projects for the Little Snake River Conservation District is the Wild Horse Butte Well. It is an estimated total project cost of $70,000 with a requested grant of $35,000. The purpose of this project is to drill a well and construct 3 miles of pipeline to deliver water to 4 troughs and 2 storage tanks. And I know Dawn spoke to me yesterday and said she had a few things that she wanted to address the group about, unless she's already crossed that bridge.
Mr. Chairman, Commission, I also wanted to point out that we do employ a certified licensed engineer, and we also have professional staff that do water rights and project implementation. So with that, we're able to help other districts out, especially the long lines with Sweetwater County. I wish that their chairman could have made it, but the weather stopped her this morning, so she wasn't able to make it, but she is in stand of full support behind us. I guess that kind of covers why we have so many projects with the Sweetwater County and the Fremont County well in there.
Questions for the sponsor? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have project, the Medicine Bow Conservation District.
Into the mic here. The first project from the Medicine Bow Conservation District is and I know I'm going to pronounce this wrong, the Sioux Livestock Pipeline. The estimated total project cost is $60,074 with a requested grant of $30,037. The purpose of this project is to develop a spring, install 8,000 feet of pipeline, 1 storage tank, 3 watering troughs, and enough fence to protect the installed infrastructure. The next project is the High Allen Ranch Livestock Water System. The estimated total project cost is $133,816 with a requested grant of $35,000. The purpose of this project is to enlarge an existing water system to provide an additional water supply to underutilized rangelands where water is limited. The project will add approximately 29,000 feet of buried pipeline, 7 water troughs, and 2 storage tanks. Moving on, the next project is the Pathfinder Mine Water Development Project. The estimated total project cost is $22,300. The requested grant of $11,150. The purpose of this project is to develop a much-needed water source that will benefit livestock and wildlife on reclaimed mine lands that have not been grazed since before they were mined. The project will consist of 2 pipelines totaling 9,500 feet, 2 storage tanks, 4 livestock water tanks, and 2 pumps for the existing wells. The next project on our list is the TA Land and Cattle Livestock Pipeline. The estimated total project cost is $98,204 with a requested grant of $35,000. Purpose of this project is to improve livestock water availability and utilization of rangeland and pasture with additional livestock water during the winter months. This project will include the installation of a 14,500 foot below frost livestock pipeline, 4 livestock water tanks, and only enough fence to protect the installed infrastructure. The next project on our list, and the last one for Medicine Bow, is the 3 Circles Livestock Pipeline. This project would install a water well with solar pump, a 2,000-foot pipeline, a livestock watering trough, storage tank, and enough fence to protect the installed well. And also, there will be a solar system installed. And that's it for Medicine Bow. And I didn't get a chance to see if they're here today, but there they are. If you have any questions.
Questions for me or for the sponsor?
Thank you.
On.
The next project in our list is from the Niobrara County Conservation District. This project is the Nelson Sheep Pasture Project. The estimated total project cost is $20,000 with a requested grant of $10,000. The purpose of this project is to drill a new well, install 1,200 feet of pipeline, and a 12,000 gallon trough. And they only had one this year, and I did receive a call this morning from this project sponsor, and unfortunately there was a no unnecessary travel advisory and 7 inches of snow in Lusk this morning, so they were unable to attend. But if there's any questions, I'll definitely do my best.
Questions?
Next one is for Sheridan County Conservation District. The project is the Little Ranch Irrigation Drainage Rehabilitation Project with an estimated total project cost of $87,763, a requested grant of $35,000. The purpose of this project is to address drainage and associated irrigation issues on 89 acres along Lower Clear Creek. Specific practices planned consist of a network of perforated drainage pipeline to facilitate drainage of the 51 acres impacted by seepage from the upslope areas. The project will also include rehabilitation of existing drain outlet and construction of an additional outlet and 620 feet of solid conveyance line from the drainage network to these outlets. A stockwater tank and 1,000 feet of stockwater line will be installed and fed from a portion of the drain source. And I believe Sheridan County is here. They're here. So if you have any questions.
Questions?
Okay, thank you very much. The next project on our list is with the South Bighorn Conservation District. This is the Triangle Y Ranch Pipeline. The estimated total project cost is $30,000 with the requested grant of $15,000. The purpose of this project is to install 2,000 feet of irrigation pipeline to replace an existing ditch on the Triangle Y Ranch property. And that is the only one for them. And I don't know, didn't get a chance to see what today. Look like they were able to make it, but if you have any questions, I'll do my best. Okay. The next grouping of projects is from Sublette County Conservation District. The first project on our list for Sublette County is the Anderson Howard Ditch with an estimated total project cost of $120,000 and a requested grant of $35,000. Purpose of this project is to rehabilitate the existing headgate structure to improve water delivery to the fields. Also, the rehabilitation will give the landowner the ability to shut the water off to the ditch when it is not needed, allowing more water to stay in the creek. The next project is the B-Line Ditch project. The estimated total project cost is $50,000 with a requested grant of $25,000. The purpose of this project is to install a new headgate, a diversion structure, and a diversion structure for the B-Line Ditch. The old structures are no longer functioning properly. The next project is the Hughes Ditch project with an estimated total project cost of $60,000 and a requested grant of $30,000. Purpose of this project is to rehabilitate a headgate and 2 diversion structures, along with some bank stabilization and channel reshaping to maintain the proper grade and function of the creek through the area. This will improve water quality by not having the landowner rebuild the diversion every year with heavy equipment. The next project is the Lee Ditch project with an estimated total project cost of $60,000 and a requested grant of $30,000. The purpose of this project is to rehabilitate a junction box that splits the water in the ditch 3 ways and a diversion box that controls whether or not the water goes on the field or stays in the ditch. The next project is the Link Spring project with an estimated total project cost of $35,000 and a requested grant of $17,500. The purpose of this project is to develop a spring in an aspen patch and gravity flow the water to a trough out in the sagebrush. The next project is the Muddy Spring Pipeline and Trough project. The estimated total project cost is $71,000 with a requested grant of $35,000. The purpose of this project is to add a pipeline and 4 troughs to an existing spring development. Next on our list is the Murdoch Well Pipeline and Troughs project. The estimated total project cost is $25,000 with a requested grant of $12,500. Purpose of this project is to drill a well and develop a pipeline system with troughs to better manage livestock. This will improve water quality by removing livestock access to the Green River. The next project is the Riverbend Ranch and Fish Passage Improvement Project. The estimated total project cost is $116,282 with a requested grant of $35,000. The Riverbend Ranch Irrigation and Fish Passage Improvement Projects is a collaborative project to improve irrigation infrastructure, bank and channel stability, sediment transport, aquatic habitat, and passage for Snake River cutthroat on the upper Hoback River outside of Bondurant, Wyoming. Habitat degradation as a result of in-stream disturbances needed for diverting water at the 2 gravel push-up dams in the project area will be addressed by installing a single fish passage friendly rock diversion and headgate structure at a stable location and rehabilitating and improving the associated irrigation infrastructure to reliably serve both ditch systems. The next project for Sublette County and the last one in this grouping is the Smith Ditch project with an estimated total project cost of $32,000 and a requested grant of $16,000. The purpose of this project is to rehabilitate the existing headgate and diversion structure to improve water quality and delivery to the fields. Currently, the diversion is rebuilt every year using heavy equipment in the creek. And I know Sublette County is here. If you have any questions, I'm sure they'd be happy to answer them.
Questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have an update. The River Bend project for that fish passage. Since then, working with our cooperators, Trout Unlimited and Game and Fish, there's been some concerns with the way that river's working and some further re-engineering that has pushed it really close to that 135,000. We're working through that final design to get a good estimate, but we're right at that $135,000 cap. So I would be comfortable to say that we're close enough that I would prefer that gets an asterisk that it might go over at this point. I don't want to have it go over when I submit the bills to Jody and be in that predicament of it was approved under that cap. So just to make that clear to the commission.
Mr. Chairman, just a quick question. Harry, would that, given this level of uncertainty, which I appreciate that you letting us know, would this be a project we would pull out and deal with the other three? Because since we're sort of in a unknown situation at the moment?
Well, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, I heard that the new estimate is right at $135,000. So I think it fits your current criteria that you have in place today.
Mm-hmm. But it's just an estimate at the moment. Is that correct?
All of these are estimates. And so that's what the base of the program. So I believe you can fund it today. And then certainly if those costs do increase, that limit goes away July 1st. So I think with the facts that we know today, the estimate fits the current project.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman,
Senator Hicks.
just for clarification, I think that's right as long as the construction didn't proceed before
Talk
July.
in the mic, I can't hear you. It's on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, so just a question, and I think make sure because of the July 1st date, I think you can approve it. But if the construction costs did go over, it wouldn't make any difference if the construction started after July 1st. Is that correct?
Chairman, that is correct.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, go ahead, Jody.
And the next grouping of projects is for the Teton County Conservation District. They have two projects and both of them go over the $135,000 cap. These are the other two we previously discussed. The first project is the Central Pipeline Irrigation Improvement Project. The estimated total project cost is $197,500 with a requested grant of $35,000. The Central Pipeline Replacement Project will improve the existing irrigation infrastructure